Welcome back to the programme. Now we head back to Croke Park for the opening game from last night. Inform Armagh taking on their neighbours and provincial champions Tyrone. Commentary comes from Gary McDonagh.
Armagh make two changes to the side that beat Kildare in Croke Park last weekend. Joe McElroy replaces Aaron McKay at wing-back, while Kieran O'Hanlon starts in place of the injured Andrew Murnan at centre-half forward. Goalkeeper Blaine Hughes was impressive against the Lilywhites, as was Jamie Clark, who scored 4 points in a man-of-the-match performance. Tyrone make one change to the side that defeated Down in the Ulster final, with Declan McClure a late replacement for David Mulgrew. Colm Kavanagh is a steadying influence at midfield, while Padraig Hampsey plays in his first All-Ireland quarter-final. Sean Kavanagh lines out in the championship for the 88th time. Tyrone just keep possession here. Ball. Tyrone now, this is a nice move as they try and create the game's opening score. Lots of passing. Eventually that one has been kicked high over the bar by Colm Kavanagh. A superb point by Kavanagh. Nearly 14 minutes played in the first half and Armagh are yet to score. Here's McCann, and this one has been struck beautifully over the bar by Tiernan McCann. 5 points to no score. This really is too easy for the Ulster champions. And again, possession has been cheaply given up. Peter Hart, nice ball inside. Here's Bradley, jinking one with and the other. Is that a penalty? It is. Mark Bradley wins a penalty, and this is all really turning into a disaster for the Orchard County men as Mark Bradley wins a penalty. Here's Bradley. Just turned inside, and just as he was about to pull the trigger, fouled by James Morgan. Peter Hart has scored 2 points in all of his games so far in the championship, and now he's added a goal to it. Sweetly struck penalty by Peter Hart, and Tyrone lead by 1-5 to no score. Now Armagh need to commit players forward, try and get a score or two. Paul Hughes coming forward from cornerback Hughes. Is he going to go for the score? Out to Clark. Nice one. Donaghy, good ball inside. And the chance of Armagh's second point in the game, and Mark Shields has managed it. Well worked move. And Mark Shields, the man. Armagh's first point from play. It's taken 23 minutes. Another point here for Armagh. Would boost their fans. As Paul Hughes gets the ball out. O'Hanlon back to Hughes again, working so hard just to create even a half chance. And McParland drives this one in long, and that's the best score of the day so far for Armagh. It's come from Gavin McParland. He scored 3 points last weekend against Kildare. That's a cracker. Well kept by Peter Hart. He gets the pass back. Now then, Peter Hart should be a point for Tyrone, and Peter Hart makes no mistake, buried a penalty in the 15th minute, and that's a nice point from play now by Peter Hart. Is there any way back for Armagh? Here's Clark, tracked as usual by McCarran. Now then, shooting chance for Jamie Clark, and Clark finally gets his first score of the game. It's taken nearly 47 minutes, and it's Armagh's first point in the second half. Intensity has gone out of it as Tyrone are leading by 8 points and are just happy to keep possession. Donnelly with a huge effort, and Matty Donnelly has got his first score of the game, and it's now 111 to 5 points. 9 points between the sides. When you think back to all those great clashes in the mid-noughties between them, this not a good one. Grugan though, and finally Grugan has managed to raise the white flag. His first point from play, his second of the match, and now it's Tyrone 111, Armagh 6 points. Sludden, high ball in. This may work out for Mulgrew. Oh, that's a lovely goal by the youngster David Mulgrew. His first quarter-final in Croke Park. Beautiful ball across, but where was the marking? still. Mulgrew had a bit to do, held his composure. Great goal. Rory Grugan. Ball down again to Jamie Clark. McKenna seems to be a high challenge, and the referee has blown his whistle, and McCarran could be in trouble here. Cathal McCarran just had been booked, and now Cathal McCarran, for a second yellow, sees the line. Tyrone will finish the game with 14 players. Holding in the centre of the field, free to Tyrone. Sean Kavanagh looks to get on with it quickly. Also, great ball by Kavanagh to Mulgrew, who's having a stormer since coming on. Here's Mulgrew, and it's another goal for David Mulgrew. Well, he's really laying down a marker to his manager, Mickey Hart. He wants to be included from the start of the semi-final. That's his second goal of the match. And really, it's one-way traffic. Sludden still showing lots of energy. Nice ball inside as well. Peter Hart out to Sean Kavanagh, and Kavanagh fires over his first score from play. Lovely point for Kavanagh, and there goes the full-time whistle. 3 goals for Tyrone. Peter Hart's penalty in the first half, and then 2 goals by substitute David Mulgrew, and Tyrone are through to the All-Ireland semi-final. Final score in Croke Park: Tyrone 3-17, Armagh 8 points.
Yes, a very comprehensive victory for Tyrone in the end, backed up by the stats, dominant in all aspects on the scoreboard, in possession, very disciplined in defence and attack. Bad day at the office, I suppose, for Armagh. Well, Brian McGuigan, no question about it, Tyrone were very impressive there. Are they ready for the dubs now?
Yeah, well, I think we're in a good place at the minute. There's, you know, 3 years ago, this Tyrone machine that's going at the minute is 3 years in the making. 3 years ago in Omagh, through the back door, Armagh beat us, and they beat us physically. So Tyrone had to take action, and I think a lot of credit has to go to the management team of Mickey, Gavin Devlin and Peter Donnelly. Now, because we know of the players that can put the ball over the bar, right? But when we were being out-muscled, we want to stay up to the Dublin and Kerry's. We had to try and employ a full-time strength and conditioning man, right? So they went and got Peter Donnelly, who was doing a good job with Cavan. Now, I don't like to overemphasise how much a strength and conditioning coach can do, because at the end of the day, he can't put the ball over the bar. Yeah. But the game that Tyrone are playing at the minute, up and down the field, defensively, when they have the ball, their defence, but whenever they have the ball, then they break out of speed. And that's a lot to do with Peter Donnelly's work. And then they have Gavin Devlin there, who's Mr. Motivator. Whenever he was playing in the changing rooms, he was a real leader. And at the top of the 3 of Mickey Hart, who's a tactical genius. You know, those 3 really complement each other, and you can see the benefit the players are having at the minute.
He has his hotel booked for September, as he says.
I see even your own young fellow, when he came in, David Mulgrew from your club in Armagh, like, he made a big impression too when he came in, didn't he? Yeah,
I would have been killed if I hadn't mentioned him today, but you know, I'm over the club team at the minute, and he's a great lad with a great attitude. You know, at 15 years of age, he played an All-Ireland minor final, and he's only 19 at the minute. But you know, the one critic that I would have, the one criticism that I would have him for the club is when he's through on goal, he takes the point. He takes the point, and then he goes and does that yesterday. So fair play to him.
Because you're the manager.
Yeah. Well, what about Armagh? Because they came from the high of the win over Kildare the week before, Tomas.
Yeah, look, I suppose it kind of puts in context where Kildare, where Armagh. I was impressed with Armagh. I was impressed with their attitude. I was impressed with the way they played. But today they were just very, very poor. I think Blaine Hughes, with the confidence, I think Tyrone cracked him. I think they overran them. I think their defence was very, very poor. I think they conceded 2-12 from play. James Morgan was following Matty Donnelly out the field when he had done so well on Daniel Flynn the week before. I think he was made to stay inside in the full back line, and I just think it wasn't there for them. They looked like a Division 3 outfit this week. I think Tyrone basically bullied them around the place. I expected a lot more out of Armagh. Now it will go down as a successful season for them in that they came through the back door and had three wins, but they'll be very, very disappointed. That game was over after 20 minutes.
All right then. Well, as I said to you, what we're going to do now in terms of analysis is look at both Dublin and Tyrone with a view to that huge game between them in the semi-final. And Ciarán, first of all, you're going to show us how Tyrone set up for their kickouts.
Well, I think it does. Tyrone are they've the best system of play, I think, since Donegal 2012. You can see here, this happens regularly in the game. There's 13 Tyrone defenders in their own half. They're draw drifting back. They're trying to suck Armagh into that space, and that happened all day. And the amazing stat about this is Tyrone had 19 kickouts. They won all 19. Armagh did not turn them over once within the 45-metre line, right? Not once, which is incredibly lazy attitude from their forwards, right? You can see here 5 lads in no man's land, Armagh, as Sludden comes forward. So Tyrone were allowed to come out, set up their counter-attacks all day, and that's what they want. That's the trap, to suck it, get the Armagh guys in. I can't see the purpose why the Armagh guys were there yesterday, because they done nothing, they were redundant. Morgan done excellent. Here you can see when they did press up, a long kick out, ball comes out to Kavanagh, great tap down ball, and there's the ball into space. That's exactly what they want. They want that half of the pitch empty so they can counter attack into that space. So
will Dublin not commit forward then?
Well, that's the key question from a Dublin perspective. You look at, if they're drifting back and they're playing 13 men, like, their transition game is so good that they can get those men up and down the field. So if there's 13 men back there, go back to Dublin Donegal when they did lose, you know, a couple of years ago. Dublin got sucked up the pitch. The likes of James McCarthy got sucked into the half. So it raises the question really whether Dublin, you know, and we look at Dublin defensively yesterday, do Dublin want to get sucked into that trap? I think they'll sit back, and it may be a case, we could have a case where both teams could concede kickouts in the semi-final, realistically.
Well, then how do you think Dublin have been preparing?
I thought Dublin were preparing better yesterday, because they were very open against Kildare, and certainly there was a huge emphasis yesterday on their defence. They played with a double sweep.
Colin Kavanagh always is mentioned, but you know, his role is to sit back in the house, but when Tyrone have the ball, he really penetrates, and he set the stall out from early yesterday. He broke a line early, and he pushed up and got a 40-yard kick over the bar. The things that he does well is he intercepts ball, he puts his body on the line to get blocks in. Here, Armagh's attacking, and he's the last man in defence, but he makes an interception. But you have to ask yourself the question, what does Colin Kavanagh do different than every all-sweeper that's playing the role? Here you see him in the house, right? And this was about 60 minutes in the game, and Tyrone was winning by 9 points. Now, he could have sat back, but he didn't. Tyrone won the ball, and you can see him driving forward, the length of the field, the whole way up the field, and after 10 seconds, he's in the end of this here, and he puts his body in the line again to win that ball and get a free kick. And, you know, the most pleasing thing about Colin Kavanagh is he would have come in under Sean's shadow when as a 20-year-old, and he came on the 08 final, and he scored a point. Then he was made an orthodox midfielder, and he got a lot of criticism, and mostly from our own people. But now he's fitted in the system that Tyrone's trying to play, and he's left a lot of Tyrone people with red faces.
Yeah, he's been superb. Tomas, you've been looking at Tyrone's transition, in addition to the kick-out.
They get so many, they're a defensive unit, and they play very, very defensively. But when they come forward, one thing, yes, Armagh missed a lot of tackles yesterday, but Tyrone, when they come forward, they're comfortable in the tackle. They don't mind taking it on. Sean Kavanagh comes, there's always a man coming on the loop. Sludden comes through here. Now, if you look at the amount of Armagh bodies, they should be making contact in terms of tackling, dispossessing, and they're not. Out to Bradley over the bar, it was a simple score. And very often, when they defend with there's every single person is inside the 65 here. All 14 outfield players are inside the 65. Sludden or Hart are the only two that handle this ball up the field. Yet there are more players coming up the field. I think they have it to a T. They don't panic. They don't kick it. Actually, they don't actually kick it long very often at all, unless they go to midfield from a kick-out. But it's certainly an area where Dublin will have to focus in on in terms of getting bodies back. Tyrone alluded to that already. They don't give it away. And it's always thrown at them that they don't have a marquee forward, Mark Bradley. Here, they actually get turned over, and they still have bodies back. There's a spine there that's still there. You have 5, 6 bodies, and there's only 3 Armagh men attacking. So even though they commit forward 10 bodies, they'll still have a spine of 3 or 4 at the back. They're very hard to break down. Also, you know, you look at Mark Bradley being told as they don't have marquee forwards, they don't have great forward score. 0-22, 121, 217, 317 is what they've racked up to date. So, and I was one of the guys who was saying I don't think they have the forwards to win in All-Ireland, but they have a system of defence and a system of going forward. And, you know, with the scores they're racking up, they will be very, very hard to beat.
They don't really have a marquee forward, but you have to give credit to Mark Bradley because his movement up there, you know, he's up there in his zone, and he's not a big man, like, so he's doing a great job.
They're rarely exposed. I know you'd have to question the quality of Armagh. That's the one thing.
I think that's key. If I was an Armagh supporter tonight, I'd be hugely disappointed with the amount of missed tackles. You know, Tyrone wandered through loads of times. They missed tackles. Their intensity levels were poor. It was like Armagh played in fear of Tyrone yesterday. They stood off them. They didn't play their own game.
Well, what about when Tyrone, and they all go back then again, and we see that image you've shown us of 14 men back or whatever. How did Dublin break that down?
Well, I think over the last few years, Dublin have got used to playing northern teams now. The league record with Dublin is surprising. You know, they have 1 win each and they have 2 draws. So it is going to be really